All right, VTN, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, so it's gonna be very simple and easy. Let me tell you about Need2Say. So right at the beginning, the problem we were trying to solve was to help international students improve their English communication skills. But then we quickly pivoted in 2020 to do the same, but for the construction industry, because we quickly learned that more than 1,000 Hispanic workers die in construction sites each year in the US. So we wanted to do it for the construction industry. And 1 week before we were just about to pilot our first MVP, COVID hit. And so, you know, the rest of the story. And so last year, 2021, that's when we had our first MVP. 2022, that's when we started working on what I'm going to show you right now. So let's move on to the next slide. So basically, we have two apps. We have two apps. I'll tell you why we have two apps. So we have the first one. This is a Need2Say learning app. And so how this one works, the main goal is to reduce risks, enhance workers' communication skills, and improve productivity. And so how we do it, well, first of all, when you open the app, and I'm going to show it to you really quick. So when you open the app, one of the things you can do is just share company news. So like if you want to share news with your employees or push notifications or things like that, you can do that. And this is like a reliable app or source for your employees, right? The next thing you'll see is it says Need2Say training. This is the part where you can share training videos. We have OSHA training videos, but you can also share your own videos as well. You can also do that. You can just upload those videos and they'll be able to get access to those videos as well. Now, the next thing you can do, it's in the part where it says, there's a section here that says learn. In this section is where you or your workers can learn to communicate or learn the basics of English for construction or Spanish for construction. And I'll show you how that works. On the next slide, this is how it works. So you can look for a word or a phrase, and you'll see a video of a native speaker saying that word, right, or a phrase. For instance, here it says, please wear your body harness. So it will say something like, póngase un arnés, por favor. So it's going to say like normal the first time, and then the second time it's going to be slow. So you can see how to say it exactly. And then on the next part, you'll see is a picture of that, so the construction workers can remember that, or you can remember that later. You can relate that image with the words, and we also have some examples as well. So this is this came from a ton of research when I was in grad school, that if you see the mouth movement, it's easier to remember and it's easier to say it. Most people will tell you, well, I know a little bit of Spanish, I can understand it, but when it comes to speaking the language, it's really hard. Well, that's why we did it this way. In the same thing for English, most workers will tell you, well, you know, the same thing. I understand more than I can speak. And so the goal is to help them communicate. It's very simple. It's simple things like they start saying things like, you know, a few keywords, and then they say things like, there's a floor opening on, you know, second floor. It's like, wow, like that's an OSHA violation, right? And so we can now go and do something, or they can just take pictures and say, what do you want me to do next? Things like that. On the next slide, this is how they'll see the OSHA safety awareness videos. We have all of these videos both in English and in Spanish. This is just, we just talk about the OSHA 4, just the basics, OSHA 4. We did these videos because we quickly noticed that the majority of the OSHA videos are super boring or long. And so we wanted to come up with something short and easy. If they were looking for something specific, like, you know, scaffolds, okay, scaffold, just search for that, and you know, you'll be able to find that content and learn about the safety about scaffolds. And finally, we also added mental health awareness videos. This is the only section that it's only in Spanish because it's new, and we noticed that that's the suicide, is that like the second cause for deaths in the construction industry. And so that's why wanted to add this, and we only have it in Spanish because the majority of the content out there it's in English. So at least wanted to do something from the beginning for Hispanic workers. Okay, so that's the Need2Say learning app. Now I'm going to show you the Need2Say chat. And let me explain to you why we have two apps. So the reason why we have two apps is because, yes, it can help you run on the spot. You can learn, OSHA videos. Companies can upload their own videos and things like that. But we noticed that there was something missing. And a lot of construction workers, we have a lot of American construction workers learning Spanish, which at the beginning, I did not know that they really wanted to learn Spanish. I had no clue. But they started saying, yeah, I want to learn Spanish. But they said, Oscar, so, there's a lot going on. I have a lot on my plate. I don't have time to go over the content right now, but I still need to communicate with my workers. Is there something else you can do? And that's when we came up with the Need2Say chat. And so let me show you the next slide. So as you can see here on this one, so basically how it works is that I can send you a text in Spanish and you'll be able to see it in English. But the way you'll see this is that you'll be able to see let me show you an example here. So you'll be able to see well, it's too small, but it works that way. So I can see both both conversations in English and Spanish. So for instance, I can request, this is a message in English, and I can click here where it says request translation, and I can see both English and Spanish. And so the goal here is, for instance, is that I'm still learning. So because I can see both languages, I can see how to say this in English and I can see how to say this in Spanish. So that's basically how it works. So for instance, here in this example, so I can just, if I have my hands busy, I can just click to the speaker here.
Put the nails in the plywood. Poner los clavos en la madera contrachapada.
And so we did this for construction workers so that they can, keep communicating, especially for those Hispanic workers. Unfortunately, as you know, the majority of the trade workers are Hispanics, and the majority of them don't speak English and don't have an education. So we did it in a way that was going to be easier for them to learn and to communicate. And then also here, I can just like any other chat, send an audio, but the audio, they'll see the translation of that audio as well. And just like any other chat, I can, share pictures, videos, or things like that. But the way we're working this chat, the way we're trying to do it, can you go to the next one? We're trying to do this something, kind of something similar to Slack. So Slack, it's a messaging system. And so in Slack, you can just add groups and create groups and have construction site 1, construction site 2. And in each of those sites, you have your group of workers. And so you can, keep track of them and kind of communicate, send out a mass communication, text message or things like that. And then the final thing that we're working on right now, it's a way for you to, if you see a construction worker that is not doing something right, it's doing an OSHA violation, from the app, you can just assign an OSHA video to that worker. And so on the Need2Say dashboard online, you can see if they have completed that or not. So it's all about safety, really. And so what is happening right now with these two apps is that the majority of workers are, on the one hand, companies are getting to know the Hispanic workers because they had no clue. They were just there. The majority of them work for subcontractors, right? And so on the one hand, general contractors are like, okay, I did not know I had this many Hispanic workers. And also, I did not know that, a lot of them, the majority of them work for instance, are like dry wall workers. I need them for the next site. So Oscar, I think we're going to pay you more for the contact information of those workers than just for the apps, because it's really hard to find good workers. So you're getting all these workers signed up for your app, all these Hispanic workers, when before we did not have any information about them, and we did not know what were their trade, because again, they just hire the subcontractor contracting companies, and they had no clue or anything in relationship with their Hispanic workers. So anyhow, so that's kind of like how it works. And they just say app. And next one, Ben, please. So one of the things that I would like to do, I want to share this code with you so that you can download the app. Actually, both apps. I would love to get your feedback. So when you download the app from the Apple Store and Google Play, when you start to the sign up process, which is really easy. When you start, you're gonna get a code as a text message. You're gonna enter that code, but then it's gonna ask you for a company code. This is the company code that you're gonna need. So you're gonna need that. And then after that, if you want, in order for you to add contacts, all you have to do is just add their phone numbers. Just add, for instance, add my phone number and I'll be your contact. And I was thinking that we can all connect to the Need2Say app, and I would really appreciate any feedback or things like that, ideas that you may have. But in a nutshell, that's kind of like how it works. And finally, I wanted to share that, basically one of the biggest takeaways from this course that I took from Stanford University, something that I want to share with you. All they talk about, it was like how to scale your company, what to do, what not to do. So I'll share some books as well with you guys. Something I want to share is their kind of like their motto or slogan, and it's do business with each other, find business for each other. So I really like it. Do business with each other, find business for each other. And I was like, that's BTN. when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's cool. So so that's like, we are part of this. It's some sort of like chat where we're all connected. We're almost 1,000 entrepreneurs that have gone through that program, and each of us will all do different things. So if I'm looking for a marketing expert, I'm sure that I'm going to find one. So we'll all connect, and that's one of the ways and how kind of like how it works. So yeah, so that's what we do now. The Need2Say chat, what's happening right now is that at the beginning we were thinking on separating, on unifying the two apps, but right now we're thinking on just keeping them separate, because what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna add the chat to the Need2Say learning, and we're gonna keep selling that to construction companies, but we're gonna keep the Need2Say chat separate. So that, because this can be for pretty much any company that would like to, communicate with their workers. And by the way, this is not just for Hispanic workers. We have, I think, like so far we have like 30 plus languages in the chat. So it's not just Spanish and English. We have a lot more. And so yeah, so that's the Need2Say app, Need2Say learning, and Need2Say chat. Thank you, guys.
Are those two capital I-9? Is that?
Yeah, those are
Yes,
capitalized.
yeah, it's a capital I. Yes. Yeah, it's kind of tricky. When you enter this code, it doesn't have to be capitalized.
Oh, okay.
It can just be in lowercase. But yeah, when you download the app, remember first, you're gonna get, just like when you go online to your log into your bank, it sends you a code to your phone, to your text. You're gonna get the same, and then right after that, you're gonna enter your first name, last name, and then it's gonna ask you for this, and this is gonna give you access to the app. And then you'll see there it's gonna say this, like the plus sign. It says add contacts. So that's when you can just add. You can just add me. My phone number is on the BTN website. You can just add me directly, and so you can kind of play with it, see how it works. And I would really appreciate your feedback. If you have any feedback into like, hey, Oscar, can you add this? Just for instance, something that it's not in this presentation, just to show you how fast we work. Some of the workers was like, hey, Oscar, so this is great. Like, I don't have to go outside and use Google Translate, come back and do all these things. He was like, is there a way you can add like just like a translate thing for me? I just want to be able to know like a certain words or things. And so we added this part, and this is in the chat. We added this part where you can just search for a word or phrase. You'll see the translation, and that's quick and easy, but you're still in the chat. You don't go outside the chat. And so so everything is like that, so that it can be just one single place and you can communicate, kind of like you remove language barriers, right, with your workers and colleagues. That's it, guys. So that's the Need2Say chat. Thank you so much.
So, quick question.
Yes,
Is it an app? We can go to the app store. How do we get
Yeah.
to?
Yeah, I
Okay,
just went
so-
to the apps.
Yeah, it's
Got
it's an actual app. You can just go. So at the beginning, the app, of course, was in the App Store or Google Play, but you couldn't get it before. And so right now we just changed that, and you can now just go and get it and just pay for it monthly.
Yeah.
And the chat is super affordable, just $5 a month, the chat. And so there's a free version of the chat actually. You can just ask your workers, you download this app, you can get a free version. The downside of the free version is that you cannot request translations. Or if you want to add users, you cannot do that. So if, let's say that I have the paid version, you don't have the paid version, I will have to add each of you to the app. And when I send you a text, what I will have to do when I send it to you, for instance, I'm gonna do just one example here. So it's really hard for you to see it, guys, but there's an option here that says send with translation. So because I know that you don't have the paid version, I can send it to you already translated. So you'll get it in English and you get it in whatever native language that you set it up the app with, right? So we also did that versions because we know that sometimes you have workers that may just be there for a few days or kind of things like that. They're not like full-time, they're kind of contract workers, things like that. You can also connect with them through the app. But again, any feedback, anything that you guys have, any ideas, I would love to hear them, and so that we can make the changes. The final thing I want to share with you, one of the things you're going to notice is that once you add a contact right now, as it is, you cannot delete the contact right now. And that's because we are so our app, it's in Firebase in Google, and we're moving all of that. We have completed 50% of that into a completely different system. And by the third week of February, it's going to work exactly as any other chat, like WhatsApp or Messenger, things like, with all the profile and delete and add, send invitations to the chat, all kinds of things. It takes time to develop and build things. So, but we'll get it. But as it is right now, it's very functional. It works. Everything works. And so again, I would really appreciate any feedback later, guys. You have questions? Yes.
Who pays the $5?
So we're B2B. So we go directly to construction companies. And so construction companies, what they do is they say, okay, give me a certain number of licenses, and they give access to their workers. The majority of the companies, the way they do it is that they said, okay, just send me the QR code. So we provide them a QR code that they just put right the main entrance of a construction site. And so construction workers just scan the QR code, get access to the app, and they start connecting with each other. That's typically how it works. Yes. And we have, for instance, this last week I spoke with someone from FedEx and said, hey, FedEx in Texas, it's actually the opposite. We want our American employees to learn Spanish. Okay, we want to use this, and I said, well, the chat is ready. The Need2Say learning will have to add content related to FedEx and for words and keywords and phrases like I don't know, related to shipping, right? And I was like, that we don't have that, we can start using the chat, and they're interested, right? So, but again, like sometimes what you have to do, especially at the beginning, just focus on one industry. And that's we're not trying to get distracted. It's like, well, there's a chat, but we're not saying like, oh, and by the way, we are going to come up with the content so you guys can also learn Spanish for I guess for the shipping business. I was like, no, we're not saying those things because it's really tough. We made that mistake before with manufacturing companies. Was like, we're not doing that anymore. So we want to get really good at construction, and then see what's going to happen. Finally, I want to say to you guys, there's a possibility for us to get acquired. I don't know if in a couple months if I will still be the founder of this company. I don't know because there's a possibility, and so we'll see what happens. And I'm debating that because in order for us to continue, we'll have to raise money, we'll have to do all kinds of things. It sounds, there's the Cinderella stories of Steve Jobs and things like that, but it's not easy, right? It's not easy to raise money. And it's, and to be honest with you, it's not easy to raise money as a minority a lot of times. You go to investors like, I don't know if I can, if I can trust you and things like that. So it's not easy. But I'm like, maybe this is how I had this great conversation with Benjamin. I was like, well, maybe it's just how far we got, can't continue. We don't have the resources to market this. Nobody knows about us. It's really hard to market. And so we're like, okay, so this is, so I also want to share that with you. So if you see me that, don't come like after March or something like that, then you know what happened with.
Maybe you went on Shark Tank.
That'll be nice. That'll be nice to go there. Actually, yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, too.
Yeah.
If that does happen, you should come in March and show us your new car.
Yeah.
That'll be nice. That'll be nice. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, I mean, if the longer we wait, the I guess pros and cons, right? But the more traction we get, the higher the value we get, right? So we'll see what happens. I kind of playing with that right now and see what's going to happen. But yeah, we'll see. I'll definitely keep you posted. But yeah.
Quick question on the QR code.
Yes.
Is that specific to, if I sign up and I'm already would like to try it with my guys? I have a handful of, guys that are better at Spanish than English.
Yes.
And so is that QR code specific to a company?
Yes.
And so I could have that, show the guys, they scan it. And so it's $5 per user per month, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. And and that we actually what we do is we will send you some sort of like a flyer. It has like just 3 steps explanations both in English and Spanish on how they can get access to the app, and it's very simple.
Yes.
That's what typically what would happen. If you want to try it out, let me know. I'll give you free access, and so you guys can try it and get feedback, see what they think. And any of you, if you want to do the same, I'll be happy to share a specific code for you guys so you can try it out and see what happens. And I would love to get your feedback, see what you think. So yeah, it's great to be part of this group, guys. Thank you.